Happy holidays, happy home opener in Cleveland. The sky should clear up just in time for first pitch as the Guardians host the Cubs 10 years after they play in the World Series. So that's a fun reminder. We'll touch on that, highlights from around the farm on Thursday night, and some other minor leaguers that need some attention that are moving on.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You hear my voice? I'm a little under the weather. I'm playing hooky on Friday to go to the home opener. I hope you are celebrating some way as well today, as it is should be holiday in Cleveland. I'm looking forward to the weather clearing up around first pitch and welcoming the Cubs to town. Oh boy, the Guardians opening their home schedule in 2026 the way they closed it out in 2016, 10 years ago. How about that? This is Locked On Guardians, your only daily podcast, the Cleveland Guardians, that covers your team every day, from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. And we'll cover a little bit of most of that on today's show. We'll give you a little bit of a preview of the Cubs and Guardians, what to expect, along with some other home opener thoughts. We'll go around the farm Thursday night, as all of the teams were finally in action for the first time in 2026. And we've got some other minor leaguers of note who the Guardians let go, who you should be aware of. Before we get into all that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. During the tournament, FanDuel is offering $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And, of course, I'm Justin Lada, your co-host here with my friend and co-host Jeff Ellis for the last 4 years. Jeff's been here 7. We've both been covering the Guardians farm system and the draft, more Jeff, for the last 19 years. So I'm looking forward to getting out to my first minor league game of the year next week. I will say that. I didn't get to go tonight or this weekend, but I will be out at Lake County very soon. I'll be in Columbus on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's we have a lot of minor leagues to talk about between the releases and some performances tonight. So it will definitely be a bit of a minor league themed show today, I think. Yeah,
especially with the Guardians being off. I'd heard the Guardians, by the way, were not scheduled to land until like early Friday morning after that game on Thursday or Wednesday in LA. It was like something like 5 a.m. local time on Thursday. Thursday. I was like, wow, so you're landing at 5 a.m. on Thursday. You have to like go home and basically go right to bed or go up for the day. Like this is the first time a lot of these players have been in Cleveland since last year, so it's like great. So come back at, don't have time to get situated, and you basically don't get to enjoy the off day because of jet lag and all that stuff. So that's kind of a bummer. That scheduling kind of stinks. Like 5 o'clock Western game, and then it should have been like a 1 o'clock LA time.
Maybe they're like me and they're lucky and just don't get jet lag. Maybe that's something that other people. Even when I flew in from London once back to here after a wedding and went to work the next day. Like took the overnight and was just fine. So maybe they're lucky. Maybe they have that lucky trait as well. But yeah, that seems like a weird time. It almost feels like it's just better. I mean, I guess they're hoping they'll sleep on the plane, but it's like, is that better or worse to like get in at 5 a.m? Like, would have been better just to leave a little bit late. I mean, I guess there's, it's the fun of these road trips, which means they're no fun at all. And it's just kind of bad for all players who have to travel.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're flying on better planes than you and I would fly on, but
True.
Still probably not great to be sleeping on a plane. It is what it is, especially before you're trying to come home from an off day. But speaking of that off day, I can't believe the schedule makers are making the Guardians play the Cubs on opening day on, the 10-year anniversary of that World Series.
I can.
It's going to be a lot of Cubs fans, I'm sure, and they will probably be very loud about it, and that will be super fun.
No, I mean, of course they're going to do that. They're going to lean into a 10-year anniversary. It's a chance to bring more eyes, more attention. I 100% understand why they're doing it, why they're going for it, and why not. Like, you're going to have to face them this year anyway, so let's have some fun with it. Let's have a measure of revenge, maybe. Can we take 2 out of 3 here? And, I mean, I don't know if it's really a measure of revenge. I've got somewhere over here my buried over here. I've got my, probably should have prepared it, been better, but like my World Series.
Oh, I've got that somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, Andrew Miller. Yeah, bring him. Yeah, he's not throwing the first pitch out. It's Layla Edwards from Team USA Hockey. So don't have that, but maybe they should. I know at some point the 2016 World Series team will make an appearance in Cleveland this year. I think it's the weekend that Tito and Napoli are in town, and then there's Rajay Davis will be here, and yeah, should be a lot of fun. But it'll be a party in Cleveland. I'm looking forward to it. The early weather looks kind of iffy, but then it's supposed to clear up around first pitch. So it's actually going to be warm for a change on the home opener. I haven't had that in a long time, so I'm looking forward to that. And it should be a fun series. I mean, being warmer, it should be better for Joey Cantillo to throw his changeup, right? So we don't have those excuses. It's supposed to be like a real feel of 61 degrees first pitch. That's better than Seattle, right? Than it was when Joey's first starts. So you have that. Cade Horton will be a tough matchup in game one. He's the guy who lives at the top of the zone with the fastball, and the sweeper he has is death to righties. So that's going to be that should be a good thing for Cleveland, though, is because they've got a lot of left-handed hitters. So DeLauder should be in the lineup. They said that he was possibly available to pinch hit Wednesday night in LA. So that's a good sign for his chances to play on Friday in the home opener. I mean, I hope so. I think he deserves to get that. And, like I said, everyone's going to want to be singing Country Roads. I'm not going to do it today because my voice is worse than usual. And I would just sound like a dying animal if I did that. But, you have all the lefties in the lineup. You'll have DeLauder and Schneemann and Kwan and Manzardo, and they'll probably bench Rhys Hoskins because why not, right? They've been doing that. So it'll be an interesting matchup on Friday. And then the Cubs lineup, the top of the order, Jeff, is pretty good. It's Michael Busch is really good. Bregman's off to a good start. Ian Happ's a good hitter. Pete Crow Armstrong, really good year last year. Off to a slow start this year. There's some red flags there. I do like Nico Horner. I tried, like you did all offseason, trying to get Mason Wynn. I tried to get Nico Horner to Cleveland, and it just didn't happen. And the bottom of the order,
never had any interest in it as much as you wanted to wish cast it into be. He was your Mason Wynn as much as I was trying to get Mason Wynn.
That's
here.
what I said. Yeah.
That's
what I said.
I see we're both under the weather, and I missed your Mason Wynn part of it. But yeah, it's 100%. Gosh, I think I mentioned this on the show before. I got a coworker who's a Cubs fan who came up to me and is like, "Do you guys actually think that's going to happen? Because I don't want that to happen. You got me worried." I'm like, my co-host wants it. I think you're safe. Don't worry.
So whatever I want just won't happen. So no Nick Kurtz, no Nico Horner. God,
no Brendan Donovan.
Yeah, Rob Refsnyder.
You got your Tanner Bybee extension. I mean,
we both wanted that though.
We did, yeah. But I mean, I think you were. I mean, no.
So I shouldn't wish for good. I shouldn't wish or hope for good things, is what you're saying.
I mean, you got the Jose extension. That was something that definitely you wanted more than me, where I was like, I don't know about adding a guy into his late 30s. I'm always all about the analytics. I think with my head first, always. So that's one you got. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I guess I'll just be careful. So if there's anything, Guards fans, you're hoping and wishing for, tell me so I don't think about it, and otherwise it won't come true. But this should be a fun series. The Cubs are a pretty solid team. I think a lot of people think they're going to win the NL Central. The Brewers are off to a pretty good start, though, and the Cubs are in the middle of the pack. So we'll see what happens. But you got Cade Horton, who's pretty good. Saturday should be interesting if they play because the weather. Shota Imanaga, Cleveland typically has struggled against lefties, and his splitter is very tough, and he does have a lot of ride on the fastball. But he was not good the second half last year, and he wasn't good in his first start. So you can load the lineup up with righties, David Fry, Hoskins, maybe get Hedges in the lineup. So there's some ways to combat that and see if he's any better than last year. And then Sunday, the other matchup is Edward Cabrera, who's got a really good changeup. We know how Cleveland struggled with changeup the last couple of years. He was really good in his first start. He was really good last year. But, yeah, you just want to keep winning series, right? That's all you want to do. I think you come home 4-3 from the first road trip of the year. And, like we've talked about, things didn't go perfectly out there, right? And you still managed a good trip against two really good teams. Come home and try to win 2 out of 3 and move on, right?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. That's what we're hoping for. And I got to be honest, like, I want 2 out of 3. I mean, I want 3 out of 3. I'm hoping for 2 out of 3. Cubs are a tough team. If it ends up being that 1 out of 3, I'm going to be understanding. I'm not going to go crazy, as we always talk about. I haven't calculated the math yet. I'll sit down and do it. while you're doing the ad read in a second. I'll tell you, after the Cubs series, what percentage of the season will have been done at that point, and then put it in football terms. There's 17 games in football or 18 games in football now? I don't pay attention. So how many games in a football season?
I think it's 18. They might want to go to 19. It's 18 right now.
18. Yeah, we'll talk about I'm going to do some calculations.
All right, Jeff's going to do some math on the percentage of the season already played. We'll talk more about this home opener and opening series. We'll talk about the minor leagues a little bit. Much more to come. The tournament is winding down, but there's still a lot of fun things left to do in the tournament with FanDuel, one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets, nonstop action from opening tip to final cut down of the nets. If you're a new customer on FanDuel, it's a great time for you because you can stand on the action all tournament long. The best part, you get $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the tournament. Mix it up however you want. Game picks features, same game parlays, and that equals bigger potential payouts for you. Perfect time because if you're like me and you threw your bracket away after the first couple of days, you can still stay involved and have a lot of fun on FanDuel responsibly. So you're going to want to visit FanDuel.com today while the tournament's still going on. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on Locked On Guardians. Make sure you check out the Every Dare Club and use the code FINALLY as the season opens up. You can get a free month of the Every Dare Club. That gets you ad-free access to Locked On Guardians every single episode, and you can come hang over in our private group chat on Discord. We talked a lot about the minor league moments on Thursday night in that group chat. I did a poll in there too, Jeff. I asked people what minor league game they wanted me to watch on Thursday night as all the minor leagues opened up, so I could, report back on what I saw, what I thought, and then everybody picked Akron. So I got to watch Khal Stephen. I didn't hug my body pillow while I watched it, so maybe I was a jinx because he walked 4 batters. We'll talk about that, but that's over on LockedOnGuardians.supercast.com. There's a link in the show notes to check that out as well. All right, Jeff, hit us with some gory math. Make sure you turn yourself off mute first.
So if I did it correct, I went and I looked. It's at 17 games in a football season with the bye week, so it's still at 17.
Oh,
so
okay.
If it's 17 times 60, we after 10 games, the baseball season would be at 6% done, 0.0617. So technically 6.17%. We're just going to say 6%. We're going to stick with lower numbers. So you multiply that times the amount of minutes. Which would be 17 times 60, right? 60 minutes a game. If I have that right, that'd give you 1080. So multiply that 1080 times the 0.06. Actually, this is incorrect. This is I closed the wrong tab. So it wouldn't be 1080. It's actually a lower number. It's 1020. But still, basically what we come down to is by the end of the series, we'd be the equivalent of 1 minute and 0.2, but minute, it's not. So what? 1 minute and 12 seconds into the second game of the football season.
Second game. Wow, that's quick. Okay. Well, I've seen enough after that point. I know the Guardians are going to be a playoff team. They have great starting pitching, and Chase DeLauder is going to win MVP. Although, certain Dodgers fans would have you believe the Guardians and Gavin Williams got lucky on Wednesday.
Luke. We had 15 comments from one gentleman from Japan. Thank you for joining our comments. I appreciate you blowing up our comments. More is always good. But yeah, I definitely went in and commented on everyone's comments calling Gavin a fluke. And Otani number 1, blue. Which, hey, you know what? I could not read Japanese even to that level. So that guy's got me beat by a million. So,
fair enough.
Kudos to him.
Yeah, I can ask where the bathroom is in Spanish and for help and food. And
yeah, I can speak like a 2-year-old in Spanish.
That's
very
like
slow and just a few parts. That's about it.
Yeah, just enough to get made fun of and joked around with. Any final thoughts on the series against the Cubs? I mean, the top of the lineup's good. They've got a really good back end of the bullpen, so I suggest the Guardians do not have any late deficits because Daniel Palencia is really good, and Hunter Harvey's been good. One of the guys we kind of wanted this offseason as well, and Caleb Thielbar is really tough at the back of the bullpen.
Some great IVB for him this year.
I
listen, we're both not feeling well. I've had some coughing. I might have missed some of your points because I've been coughing so much, so I apologize. I just want to go ahead and say, the Cubs are as you talked about, very top heavy. They have no bench at all. And I got to bring up the point that currently Michael Conforto, who's part of a platoon, has a negative 30 WRC plus and is striking out 71% of the time. That is one of their starting outfielders who has played in 4 games. No, only 7 plate appearances, but still, they're kind of a mess right now. They look like what we expected Cleveland to be. Not that Cleveland's doing too much better, let's be honest, but it's for a team that spends the money that the Cubs have spent. Now they probably should spend more with their market size, but still, it's a story for another day. With the money they have spent on guys like Bregman and Swanson and all of this, it shouldn't be 3 good bats and then really terrible, which it's early. Things can rebound. Things will go. But even someone like Dansby Swanson, that's a contract I will never, ever understand. They bought him at peak. He's a great defender. It's hard to find a really good shortstop, but he's got exactly 3 full seasons where he was above average. 3 full seasons, and they're paying him $30 million a year, to $25 million plus a year. Like that's a lot for average. That's a lot for a guy who's about a 3 to 4 win player.
Yeah. It's a top heavy team for sure. They're a good team, but they're very top heavy. Yeah. 2 years ago, I wanted Michael Conforto. Remember?
I did too. You and I both thought he'd be an interesting buy low, but after as terrible as he was for the Dodgers, heck, look at that bench. Their whole bench the Cubs right now have a bench of failure. There's no other way around it due to injuries. Dylan Carlson, who had points I had wanted. Scott Kingery, who had points I had wanted. Matt Shaw, who had points I had wanted.
They're all bad now.
They're all pretty bad, or they've already failed. Michael Amanyaya, is his name. I know I'm butchering. Actually has really good numbers, but I think it's like 2 plate appearances or something. Oh, it is 9 plate appearances. He's played well for them in those 9, but still, it's a bench of failure right now for the Cubs. So that lack of depth is just coming back to bite them.
Yeah, and Cleveland throws Cantillo, Ciccone, and Messick. We'll see what Messick does in his second start to follow up. I only can go up for Cantillo and Ciccone, if you ask me. Hopefully, Ciccone is not under the weather like we are. And like you said, Cantillo, he should have better control of his changeup with the better weather. If they make any, fixes like Gavin Williams did from game 1 to game 2, then should be in really good shape. The rest of the minor leagues kicked off on Thursday night, and there were some really fun performances. So I watched, as I mentioned during the Everydayer Club read, that fans voted for me to watch the Akron game, and I thought Khal Stephen was pretty good for the most part. A lot of really well spotted fastballs low in the zone. He was getting a lot of balls that he threw low to come back up at the bottom of the zone. So that's where his fastball plays really well. I didn't think the off-speed stuff was all that great. Like he tried to throw some splitters that he just didn't have really good feel for in this game. But he only allowed 2 hits. It's not a great Reading lineup. Like Arun Escobar is a good prospect, and they have Carson DiMartini, who's not that great. And Juan Rincon is their 3rd hitter. He's good. The rest of the lineup is pretty awful. So I thought Steven was okay. Hopefully he can clean the control up. And then Ralphy Velazquez, Jeff, first home run of the year for him, dead center in Akron. You know how hard it is to hit a home run to dead center in Akron. And he did that off a lefty. And he walked in his first at bat on 5 pitches. So nothing but excitement for Ralphy Velazquez in his first game. And at least this game wasn't in Reading, so you can't discount the stats, right?
Yeah, but it is the situation where, so his great performance last year, the kind of, if you took away his 1 weekend in Reading, he was about league average the rest of the year when he was in AA. So
which is still good for being 20.
Still good for his age. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I still had him in my top 3. But he's still facing Reading, but he didn't do it in Reading, so it's great to see early on. I mean, we're big believers.
It's off a lefty.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah, he's not shown any platoon split issues, which is great. So I'm excited for that. And then I don't know, is this the big one? Like Travis Bazzana had the walk-off double in Columbus. So he started the night off 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. And
he's been scuffling a little of late.
I'll be honest. The first strikeout was really bad. He swung and missed at a sweeper that came in on his hands towards him. And then the second strikeout, he struck out on a pitch swinging in the zone. So it looked pretty ugly. But he had some really good data in this game, I will say. So if you just go by the batted ball data, it was a lot better than you would have thought. So he had after he struck out twice, he had a ground out that was 92 miles an hour, which, whatever. He singled at 97 miles an hour, which is good. And that ball went that was the single that won the game, by the way. That was 356 feet. So he hit that ball a long way to win the game. In the 8th inning, he doubled 109 miles an hour, which was the hardest hit ball in the game. And then his other ground out was 98 miles an hour. So, 3 very well hit balls. The one was a grounder, -4 launch angle, so not great. So he recovered pretty well from those 2 strikeouts. I know there's some people who are kind of worried about him right now. I'm not worried about him. Like, would I expect him to be doing better overall? Like, because I know Connor Griffin's going to come up and he's got this contract he's going to sign. So I understand the lack of patience or frustration with him, but I would still say long term, we're talking about an above average player, and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I totally get the concerns because, from any perspective, like, you're looking at some of the data and performance and the some of the bad, the contact stuff, but we also know, like, looking at the other side of it, it's not due to passivity. And we've seen him perform well at, high levels, and I'm not concerned. I just say that I can understand why others speak the way they do, because there is definitely also, let's be honest, there's a tendency for Cleveland fans to just expect the worst at all times. It just seems to be something we see happen a lot. So I'm not too concerned. He's had some timely hitting. The numbers will rebound. It's also the hard time with early season baseball, right? Like, numbers shift wildly when we haven't had a lot of games.
Yeah. We'll talk more about Travis Bazzana. Got to get to the captains and the newly
Nolan Jones homer. No Nolan Jones talk today.
We could talk more about the Clippers, I suppose. There were some interesting pieces there, but we can talk about Nolan Jones. We got to talk about them, the captains, the Hill City Howlers. Things were not good in Lake County. And then we got to touch on some minor leaguers who you might remember that have moved on. Coming up next. What if sports were traded like the markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. So it's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. So you can buy and sell your positions live all game long. You can use your sports knowledge in the moments that actually matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people that are moving the action. So when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always felt like I knew the game. I've really had a dynamic way to play that knowledge. And now can actually take part live in a market that is powered by people. So you're no longer just a spectator. You play by play. You get to decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps involve significant risk. It's not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open when the pressure's on and you need the right hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. And I love stats. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing quality candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
As always, appreciate everybody who is an everydayer, an insider, everyone who's listening and making us your first listen today and every day wherever it is you get podcasts. We always encourage you to hit the bell on YouTube so you can get reaction videos to every game, every piece of Guardians news that we think is relevant for you to know. We'll break it down for you as much as we can before we cover it on a live episode, which you also get notifications for. And then, of course, auto download on all your favorite audio platforms. Hope you're doing so. Maybe you'll listen to the podcast on your way downtown for the home opener on Friday. I will probably not listen to this podcast on Friday because I don't love my voice today. Most days I don't love my voice, but it is what it is.
I don't love my voice any day. I got to be honest.
I was at work today. Even my manager at work was like, "You sound terrible," and I was like, "Yeah, I do. Thanks for that. Hopefully, I'll sound better on Friday. I am planning to stop up at Thirsty Parrot on Friday to visit with my buddy Matt Fontana over at Big Play. I know he's hosting his show from 1 to 2. Gates open at 2, so like I said at Thirsty Parrot, come by, talk some baseball, watch or listen to the show. Maybe I'll buy somebody a beer. I don't know. I'm not opposed to that. So if you want to have a beer, and I can buy for a couple people. I can't buy for everybody because this is still a part-time job, but I'll buy for a couple people if you're hanging out, listen to the broadcast over at Thirsty Parrot, and you want to get some hype going into the home opener. So we'll do that. But yeah, Travis Bazzana had the walk-off. You did mention Nolan Jones, who has 3 home runs.
Didn't Halpin homer as well in this one? He has had struggles since he went down.
Halpin hit the heck out of one ball. He hit it almost 400 feet, and it was 105 miles an hour off the bat. It was the game, the home run that tied the game up, I believe, for Columbus. But he's been really good. As an aside, this is something only you and I would care about. They played Indianapolis, who was the Pirates farm team.
Mm-hmm.
They have Carson Fulmer on that team, which I can't believe Carson Fulmer is still hanging around all these years later.
You make a decent wage when you played in the big leagues when you're in AAA, so he's making a decent amount of money, and he probably can't make as much anywhere else. So I don't blame him. Halpin, by the way, even with the home run today, 1 for 6, 130 batting average. It has really been a struggle for him. Bazzana, for all of his struggles, he still got almost 100 points higher on OPS. But Nolan Jones is currently the king. He went 1 for 2 with 2 walks, 1 being the home run, Tolentino 2 doubles. So, some fun guys performing there. Should we go to Hill City and talk about Joey Oki? Was kind of the standout. I mean, you and I were most intrigued to see him, right?
Yeah, I had some people who wanted me to watch Joey Oki. He wasn't even the best pitcher in that game. If you look at stats, it was Jervis Alfaro who had 9 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings. Robert Arias had 2 hits. Gabriel Rodriguez, not that one, the new one, had 2 hits. So that's fun.
New draft pick Anthony Martinez had 2 hits as well.
He did, yeah. So it was a good night for them. They won 4-3, had 13 hits overall. Oki only allowed 1 run. He did walk 3, which we're not shocked by, right? Leading the control would be an issue. But 4 strikeouts. I heard he looked really good. So not surprised there.
Top of that White Sox team was really fun to watch with Jaden Fauske and Billy Carlson.
Yes, good top of the order for them. And who was pitching for them? Was that Max Banks, not the Banks I thought it was.
And then Riley Eckhoff, you and I both kind of liked, was the first guy who came in after.
Oh yeah, out of Coastal Carolina. I remember him last year. He was a good one. So Hill City's off to a good start in their new franchise name, and the team that did the worst for the Guardians minor league system was the Lake County Captains. We'll start with the good news. The good news is the reports on Justin Campbell were really good. He only pitched 2 innings, which isn't a surprise.
It's an accomplishment.
The fact that he's even healthy is an accomplishment.
First pitches he's ever thrown.
Yeah, an officially scored game. Like I think he's thrown on backfield games and stuff in Arizona, but he was the first round pick in 2022 and has never been in a pro game. So that's crazy. And he struck out 4 in 2 innings, and I heard he was like 94, 97. I heard he had a high 80s, low 90s slider that was nasty. He was good in college, and the guys at Baseball America that we talked to, that we listened to, all of them said that Justin Campbell was really impressive at minor league spring training too. So the fact this guy hasn't pitched in 4 years and still has that kind of stuff is really exciting.
And they had him go 2 innings too. Is kind of, I know he's been slowly building up, but
he'll still start if that's the case. Yeah. I mean, even Daniel Espino is only throwing 1 inning at a time every 5 days. An interesting aside too is Justin Campbell is Rule 5 eligible this year, by the way. So
he was Rule 5 eligible last year.
Was he? Okay, well,
I believe he was. I could be wrong. Put in the comments if I was wrong. I believe he was Rule 5 eligible last year. I'll double check that now.
Andrew or Arthur will know that answer, so we'll get it from one of them. But it's very encouraging on the offensive side.
Not so much.
Nolan Schubar got a double to make sure the Captains didn't get no hit on opening night, but they had 16 strikeouts, and 4 of them came from Jace Lavalette.
Campbell was Rule 5 eligible this year. Yeah, Lavalette went 0 for 4 with 4 Ks against a weak pitching staff.
Aaron Walton 0 for 4, 3 Ks. Schubart K twice. Churio K twice. Not great.
Curley had 2 walks. I mean, if I was doing a 3 stars in this one, it'd be Campbell and Curley, and then probably Hernandez, even though he got the loss, because at least, hey, he went 4 innings. Though
Yeah,
8
or if you
base
want to go
runners isn't
Schubart
great.
for
I
the
don't even know. Maybe it's Schubart,
Yeah.
Curley, and Campbell. But yeah, it was ugly. I mean, said Lavalette with the 4 Ks definitely stood out for me in this one, as did Walton with 3 of them, because he's even maybe more so because Walton's supposed to be more of a contact guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not hear good things about Lavalette. Nobody really said anything. Looked like he was swinging it air. But it's one game. I'm not going to say, we told you so. I'm just going to say we told you.
I did the research. The 2 best hitters who had a strikeout rate higher than there's only 6 guys who have made the big leagues with a strikeout rate in the last 25 years over 25% in their junior year. You got Ryan Howard, who had a really weird junior year. It's the highest of his whole time in college. And number 2, the guy I wanted to acquire all offseason, Romney Gonzalez, who's on the 60-day disabled list. That's 1 and 2. And then number 3, you could just a whole bunch of. There isn't a 3. Let's put it might be Ryan Ritter right now with Colorado.
Nice. Do you quickly want to run through? We still have about 5 minutes. I think we could run through this list. So the Guardians, as this happens to every team, not just the Guardians, but as spring training ends, they have to make a bunch of releases because domestically you can only have 165 players on your minor league roster. So that's from AAA all the way down to Hill City, I believe even Arizona. The players that are playing in the Dominican complex do not count towards this, but you can only have 165 players from AAA down to Arizona. So that's 5 levels of baseball where you need at least 26 players like you would the majors. Probably I think they can have a little bit more. But you have to get that number down. And when you draft 21 or 22 players, you have more players to bring in. So the Guardians had a number of releases. And I would say the most notable on this list probably is Tyler Thornton. Jeff,
I would argue Ross Carver. He's the only one who was ever a top 30 prospect.
That's true. You and I did. Well, I think we were the only ones that were really high on Ross Carver.
No, we heard from other people. Like we had, Matt Thompson reach out to us with a scout who really liked him. Remember that? I can't remember what the comp was. Yeah. He was a top 30 by MLB.com as well.
Yeah, he had some good stuff. I saw like there was like a little bit of poor man's Kluber there. He had the backdoor sinker and a good slider, but he just couldn't stay healthy and was not good the year after. So you're right. Maybe he was the best one. And then obviously there's Jose Ramirez, who you wouldn't expect him to release. No, it's the minor league pitcher who was 20 years old.
Venezuela, who never got out of Arizona. Let's throw a few others out here real quickly, kind of the quick movers. Jake Berry was an undrafted free agent who was a 6'10 lefty.
He was huge.
He was just big, and they gave him an opportunity in 2024. He didn't pitch at all last year, I assume due to injury. So that is not a surprise. They moved on. Julio Zabato, another guy who was 22, and last year he got to Carolina. He was all right there, but at 22 in with Lynch, I said Carolina. He was in the Carolina League for Lynchburg. He not much there. Sean Hepner was a recent 12th rounder in 2024, a BC guy who couldn't get out of Lynchburg and really struggled with his command. It was pretty atrocious. Bryce Arnold's another Canadian, so they just got rid of all their Canadians. Another,
they signed Bryce Arnold like a month ago. It wasn't. He was a very recent signing, so that did not last long. He
was a guy who had been with Toronto. He was an undrafted free agent and had been with the Blue Jays, so he was like a depth guy. And then they realized they didn't need it. David Leon is a left-handed hitting Venezuelan catcher. That's what they love. He did get up to AAA when they needed catching depth. Jose Contreras is a right-handed pitcher. Not that Jose Contreras. No, and not that Jose Contreras. He was 23 and never got to Arizona. Once you're like over 21 and you haven't gotten out of Arizona. Once you're over 21 and haven't gotten out of Arizona, that's probably a sign. And then did kind of a lightning round to give everyone their stuff. Tyler Thornton. Let's talk about him now. We got Thornton and Tincher left. So it's probably, I would say, 2 and 3 to me on this list of kind of famous names.
Yeah, I mean, Thornton, at points, Thornton really looked like he could be a future major league reliever. He had really good stuff. He had a great sweeper and a fastball, and he had control issues. He had Tommy John, so time just kind of ran out on him.
Always missed bats. Always missed bats.
Yeah, or he walked them. So it was one of the two. But time just kind of ran out on him, which I'm not surprised by. But I was hopeful because he had a really funky arm angle too. And then Johnny Tincher, I'm actually surprised by because he was a higher pick and a very recent pick, and it's not like this organization's flush with catchers. Maybe he's going to start his coaching career because I always felt like he was going to be a future coach.
He's that guy. Like, so the 11th round is a very important round. It used to be. Now that they've changed the format, it's not as big. But when you had a 3-day draft, you targeted someone in that 11th round. Typically, the Guardians went over slot a lot of times in that 11th round to go get someone. Tincher was weird from the start because he didn't even get max ability on day 3. He got less than the full amount they could offer. He's more famous for his backflips than anything else. He's really tiny. And he 2 years in a row playing at Lake County, 575 OPS both years. He just struggled. And I think in that regard, writing was on the wall. They carried 3 catchers at every level but Akron. So unless they're going to put him up at Akron and carry a 3rd catcher, I think it's just production made him the odd man out, even though he was a 2023 pick. But, they're cutting bait a little earlier. Cut one guy from 23, cut someone else from 24, and Hepner was a 12th rounder. That's also a value pick for this org. Mm-hmm. So some interesting moves. There'll be more. There's always more, but we always like to give those players some shine, give them some time. Maybe you never heard of them. Maybe you were like, oh yeah, that guy. But either way, we give every player who gets released some shine on the show.
Yes, they had their moments, and the dream hopefully continues for them somewhere else. And if not, they made it further than any of us will ever make it. So there is that. So good for them, and hopefully they find something good in the next chapter. For us, our next chapter is Monday, after the Guardians take 2 or 3 from the Cubs, and we all sing a very raucous rendition of Country Roads on Friday at the home opener. I hope you will join me there, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm. I just don't want to jinx anything. That's my whole view right now. I want to avoid all and every jinxes. Thank you all for joining us. Rate and review. Download daily. It helps.
Country Roads, take me home.
Go Guardians.